Good morning, everyone. Glenda Mollet here, and welcome to my craft room. Yay! It's Super Saturday, and we are so excited to be sharing the day with you. Whether you're joining us live or catching the replay, it all works, and we love doing these things. Thanks so much to Tamara for that amazing fun fold. Like, how quick and easy is that? Okay, so StreamYard, I'm using StreamYard, and if you don't allow me to see your name, I can't. So let me just switch over to a watch on Facebook, and then I can read the names because I know there's people out there watching. Yeah, Tamara's card. I'm making that one. I do lives Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Pacific time, and that would be absolutely perfect for doing it. Like, you could get a whole bunch created and in a quick time. And that vellum, ooh. Okay, there, I can see names now. Good. Thank you, everybody, and my silver sisters for having my back. So I'm not doing a project with you today. I'm going to show you how to use your Stampin' Blends to blend. So I'm going to be using this amazing Rustic Harvest suite. Have you seen this? Don't you absolutely love this? I was kind of wondering what I was going to do with these because they sit there, they're flat. The other day I saw somebody made a banner out of them, a fall banner. Oops, made a fall banner. So it went like this and it had the leaves and they were embossed and it was super cute. Okay. So I received this card from Cindy Piggott, I believe. I'm sure it was Cindy. Oh, gosh, I forgot. And I love, love, love it. Now, yeah, Cindy. Now, it's a little special because, look, it's got this pullout. And you think, oh, that's a cute tag card. But wait, this opens up. There it is. It's a pop-out note card thingy. And I love it. So I decided I was going to do my own spin. So Cindy used Pumpkin Pie Stampin' Blends to blend hers. The light, and then she added some dark, and then a little bit more light to blend it all together. So I wanted to do this on one of my Facebook Lives. So I used her card and stepped it up a bit. So here's my version of it. It still has the pull-out thing, but I turned it into a gift card holder. So this will just pop down inside there and it's hidden. So you send it to somebody and they say, that was a really cute card. And you say, did you get your gift card? No, I did not. Well, you better open up the card and see what was in it. And then Cindy just did hers as a single layer. I like making mine into cards. So I turned it into a card. And there's the coloring on the pumpkin. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. And I never send out a card that isn't completed on the inside with a coordinated envelope, because envelopes are consumables, ladies. You get your customers using them and they will repeat order because they are amazing. And I did a costing a few years ago comparing the cost of our basic white envelopes and say Staples, and ours were right on par. So I'll just show you this card. I created this one as part of a class that I did, and I colored the pumpkin in the same way. And of course, finished off the inside in the envelope as well. Okay. Coloring the pumpkin. There's Cindy's way, which is amazing and good. And if you don't like doing a lot of fussy coloring, then the two-tone coloring that Cindy did on hers is perfect. There you go. All right. But I thought I would show you quickly, well, not so quickly, how to do it. So when I am creating with blends, I take a scrap piece of paper, basic white, and I do my colors on there. so I know what they're going to look like. So for this one, I am using, Granny Apple Green, but that was for something else on the card. Okay, I'm using Daffodil Delight, the combo. I'm using Pumpkin Pie, the combo, the light and the dark. I'm using Cajun Craze, the light and the dark, number 400, and the Color Lifter. They are excellent quality, Marilyn. Absolutely. You can't beat them. Okay, so I think I'll just not do the yellow. Let's start with Pumpkin Pie. There are, okay, that was an avalanche. There are two ends. You're right, Tamara, they don't bleed. There's two ends on these. There is the fat brush tip, and there is the smaller bullet tip. I don't know whether you can see those or not. I prefer the bullet tip because I find the brush tip, first of all, it tends to wear out really easy, the tip itself. And I don't have the control that I like to have when I'm using my Stampin' Blends if I use the other. So I'm just putting down a layer of the light pumpkin pie. And you can see that I'm avoiding that center because I don't want that center to be too dark. And when you're applying the color, you want to do it in a circular motion because you want it to come through the back. By coming through the back, you know that you're getting enough color on there so that the next layer is going to blend in. Yeah, so I'm trying to read comments and I can't. Reading comments when I'm coloring, this does not make for an easy flow. Okay, get that colored, and I'm going down the center as well because I want to get color everywhere. And I'm going to show you some alternative or some color combinations for the sunflower as well. Sometimes you have to think outside the box. Although pumpkins are orange, typically, you don't have to make them orange. Okay, so that was light pumpkin pie, and see how it's gone through at the back. That's what you want. But you can't do this on, like, don't do it on your grandma's handmade embroidered tablecloth because you will end up with the color going through. You can see it there already. Okay, now I'm going to take the dark pumpkin pie and just go, I'm not going right up to where I used the light. I'm keeping it a little bit away. I'll show you in a sec here. Now you also can't work on too big of an area when you're doing these because it can dry, the ink can dry, which is not a big issue because you can always reactivate it. And the lovely thing about these blenders that I love is there's no coloring marks. You know how when you use your Stampin' Right markers, you get coloring marks? You don't with these because they are meant to blend. So these have alcohol, and they're alcohol-based markers, whereas our Stampin' Blends are water-based. There are regular dye inks that go in there, and they're not made to blend, where these ones are made to blend. And I'm not being too precise where I'm putting the color. And you can probably hear it go squeaky, squeaky. I don't know why they sometimes squeak and sometimes they don't. I guess it all depends on whether they want to be up this early in the morning coloring. Okay, so I've got my layer of dark pumpkin pie. Now I'm going to take light Cajun Craze. And this is just going to add a little bit of dark up at the top where the hash marks are. Using the hash marks that Stampin' Up already has provided for us is an amazing way to know where to do your add your dark lights. Yeah, they're dark lights. I don't know. I learned to color with my friend Candy when she used to live here. And we started, back then Stampin' Up! Did not have Stampin' Blends or the original blendabilities. This was long before that. And she taught me, she's an incredible colorer. And she taught me to, first of all, think about where your light source is coming from. So for this one, the light source is head on. But if I wanted it to be in shadow on this side and have the light source coming this way, then it would be darker on this side of the lumps than it is on this side. They squeak when they're starting to dry out. Oh, that's a good tip. I must say I've colored a lot of pumpkins this year because this is the perfect image to color with. Okay, so let me do it up close for you. And now I'll go back here so I can see how close I can get. So there, you're probably thinking, oh my God, what a mess. Not so much. Okay, now, dark Cajun Craze. And I'm just going to do just a little bit. I don't want to add too much, but you still have to get the color in there. By not adding too much, I don't mean I'm not going to have the nice saturation of color. I just mean that I'm not going to add a lot of it all over the pumpkin, just where the shadows are. So that would be in the creases or the folds or the ripples or whatever you want to call them of the pumpkin. And just a little bit down there. And now I know it looks like a dog's breakfast, as they say. But believe me when I tell you, it's going to be gorgeous. So you see, I'm keeping it right up at the tip, the top of the ripples, and down at the bottom, just like that. We had a lot of fun in that class coloring the pumpkins. Okay. Enjoy that Timmy's, Diane. Okay, there you go. So now, when I'm done all of that, I'm going to go back with my light pumpkin pie, and I'm going to go over top of everything. But when it comes to the middle, I'm going to be very light. So I'm just going to go over top of everything except that center. Oh, no, wait, I forgot one. Whoops, I forgot the 400. These are those neutrals. You can buy them all together in one kit, or you can buy them in kits of 2. So there's not light and dark. There's 1 and 200, 2 and 300, or 3 and 400. It goes right up to 800. And I made myself a cheat sheet because, oops, let's turn it around so you can actually see it, because I wanted to know what they look like. So I have this beside me all the time when I'm coloring. And I know I'm going to be using some browns. And browns are great for adding that depth of color or shadow right at the very bottom. Now, this is 400. So that's color. And I chose that because it has kind of an orangey cast to it. And it will go well with the pumpkin pie and Cajun Craze. I'm just adding that. But you could add a little bit more of the dark. Put down the things a bit. There. Okay, now I can go in with my pumpkin pie and finish that off. So you want, the trick with these and our new basic white cardstock is that you need to have enough ink that they blend, but not too much that they run everywhere. So when I'm doing this in a class now, I make sure they do their stamping first and then set it aside so that the Memento ink, oh, I should have told you that. When you're using Stampin' Blends, you have to use Memento ink. So it gives the memento ink a chance to dry, or you can heat set it if you want. Because I don't know, this new basic white does not blend like the old Whisper white we had. Okay, now I've got most of that done, and I'm just going to go. I'm not putting any pressure at all on that hen. I'm just lightly going back and forth in the center. And if I miss some, it's okay. Don't go back and redo it because I want it to be really light in there. And that one. And this is still the light pumpkin pie. Now, I'm just going to go back over there and just kind of blend this all in. Make sure that all the areas are nicely blended. And some of these areas are quite big. So I'm just going to go over with my light pumpkin pie and make them a little bit darker because I don't want the highlights in the center, first of all, to be squares. You need to make them so that they don't look square. And you want them to be a little bit smaller. So see how I'm adding depth and layers of color. Wait, there you go. Can you see all that? So then the finishing touch is to go in with the color lifter. Now it's a misnomer because it doesn't lift the color. What it does is it pushes it through the cardstock to the back. So first of all, if you go outside the lines, you can push it back inside just by going over top of it, and it will push it back through to the other side. For that, you may need to do it a couple of times, but it does go away. You do get to see it. And now I'm going to go right in the center where I have those light areas. And you see I'm only doing this once up and once down. And then you sit back and let it work. It's kind of like bleach stamping, where you want to let it have time to do its thing. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Okay, so then you can continue to play with this if you are not liking how something like there is a very squarish spot right there, and that's not making my heart happy. So I'm just going to go in there and blend that a little bit more. There we go. Now, if you decide that now that I've waited a couple of minutes, if that's not light enough, you can go back in again, but just be very careful because it does take it out. And if it takes it out and you don't like it out that much, then just put some more color on top. They're really forgiving when you're using the blends. They tend to they tend to blend, and I love the blends, and that's what the back should look like because I've got good saturation. And there's that spot right there. Can you see that? That's where I push that color through to the back. Janet, the color lifter, is there for two reasons. Number one is removing the boo-boos when you go outside the lines, which you might have to do a couple of times. And the other one is to make highlights. Okay, so that's the pumpkin. And I did a couple of leaves, which are the ones that fell on the floor. Oh, just let me pick up. I did some leaves. Okay, so this one is Granny Apple Green. That one is Old Olive. And that one is Mossy Meadow with Evening Evergreen. So I wanted a really dark one. So I've left edges of the leaf white. I like using white areas in my projects, but you don't have to. Okay, this is Old Olive, so I'm just going right this, and I'm not going right up against the end, the edge of the stamped image. Oh yeah, round. I get carried away and sometimes I forget I have to go in a round motion because that's what allows the stamped image to get lots of ink on it. Okay, so now I've got all that. I'm going in with the dark old olive, and I'm going to go right down the center. And if you get enough ink on there, you don't have to do the next step of blending if you don't want to. So there we go. So I went with the light old olive, did it in a circular motion, and then used the dark old olive and going that way, flicking color onto it. Then I'm going to go back to my light old olive and just blend it all in, and I'll go right out to the edges so that it adds a little bit of color to the edges, but it's lighter because you've only got one layer of color out there. And you know, you can always add a winky on these two to make them, because card is never finished until the winky's on there. There we go. Now the colors do look a bit different once they dry, because this is old olive that I did a couple of days ago, and this is the old olive now, and it's a bit darker. This one I went in afterwards and added the lifter, and you could do that. Say our light source is coming this way, then this side of that leaf is going to be lighter. So you can just go in here and add the color lifter and make that edge a bit lighter. And then you look at it and you think, oh my God, that's ugly. Go back in and just feather some color on the edge there. You just want the very edges to be light. Okay. There you go. Now, if you wanted a highlight down the middle, then take your lifter and put a highlight down the middle. But remember what I said, do it once. You can always redo it if you don't like it, what the result is. Okay, so that's how to do a leaf. Now I do have another tip for you. What color was it I was going to use? Hang on, I gotta find the one. Do you guys get cracks in your, which one was it? Oh, I don't remember. Do you get cracks in your barrels? This one had a crack. It cracked right here, this way. There was a crack running down. So I sent it out to my hubby's shop with him, and he glued it back together and then put a couple of zap straps around it. Now they're low enough that it's not going to bother me when I'm using the end, that these have sticky out things. And now I can keep using my ink pad, because if you have, or my ink pad, my Stampin Blends, because if you have a crack in there, when you pull this out, the whole thing comes out. And I wish I could find the one that I had this morning. Let me have a look. I'm not going to be able to find it now, I suppose, because I'm looking for it, right? No. Can't find it. But take my word for it, they do. They do crack. They do. Okay, moving on. I digress. So then I thought, well, what would happen if I took the sunflower? Hello, Blondie. Took the sunflower and played with the sunflower. Now, I've done this a few times, and I wanted to show you some different ways to do it. So this shows you the progression or the different ways of coloring it. There's plain by itself, no color added. Then I added just dark to a section. I like playing like this to see what it's going to turn out before I do the one for the actual card. And then I have a section with just the light, and then light, dark, and then light. So I did the full blend on that one. So that just gives you an idea what the different colors look like. You don't have to blend with Stampin' Blends. You can do it this color, or you can do it that color. It's your card, and it's your blends, so you do with them what you want. And then I did the light dart like technique using the So Saffron and Daffodil Delight. So there's 4 colors on there. Oh, 3 colors. Oh, then I did the center. Okay, so I put light So Saffron down first. That gives it those lovely bleached out edges. Then I used Daffodil Delight light and then added dark. And then I blended with light So Saffron again. For the center, I used 800, 700, and 600. So that one, and that one to blend that center. And then to put real highlights on the tips, I went back all with my color lifter and just took right at the very tip. Right at the very tip, just did that. Just to give it a real highlight with that. So that's the yellows. And I thought, well, I don't like just yellow. So I started experimenting. And don't be afraid to mix colors either. That's really cool. So this one I used the combination Calypso Coral and then Cherry Cobbler, the combination Cherry Cobbler, and then I added 200 around the base. So 200 was a bit darker because these are darker colors. And then I went back with the light Calypso Coral and blended it all together. Oh, you can, Tammy. Just wait. I will show you that. I've got a sample using that. It's amazing. Then I thought, well, why not a blue one? So probably not the best choices in the world, but I used dark balmy blue, light night of late navy, and light starry sky. And then went back with the dark balmy blue. So I didn't want a light flower. This one turned out to be quite dark, but it's gorgeous. Can you imagine an entire sunflower done out of that? I wish I had that sunflower card that I did a couple of years ago because it was amazing. Okay, hang on. I need to take a drink. I've been trying to get over this stupid virus. It's not COVID, but holy man, did it take a bite out of hubby and I. Okay, so that's that. And then I made a purple one. So there's just, okay, I was going to say just light, but apparently I added a bit of dark in there. But there's the light. Now this is Fresh Freesia and Highland Heather. And there's the light and the dark before it's all blended together. There's the light and the dark, and then blended with the light again and left the tips uncolored. And there's light, dark, light, and then Fresh Freesia, light and dark, then light Highland Heather, a little bit of dark Highland Heather before it's all blended together. And there's the finished. This quadrant here is the finished. So it's light, dark, light, dark, light, and winky. And I used Fresh Freesia and Highland Heather on that. Oh, thanks, Nikki. A midnight oil sunflower, dark purpley. Oh. You are only limited by your imagination and the number of colors that we carry in making your flowers. So let me get this so I can show you the bling there. Can you see the bling of Winko Stella on there? Just on this finished section. I didn't do the whole thing. Isn't that gorgeous? And then for the center, I used Oh, so many pieces. Oh, there it is. 200 and a 300. So I used this one and that one to do that center. And you can see that there's a light area on this side, and that's the highlight because the sun was coming from this direction. And you can also see I've done a bunch of color swatches around it because I wanted to see how it was going to work. So I thought, well, maybe polished pink, and no. And then I thought maybe Orchid Oasis, no, don't like that. And then Blackberry Bliss is a completely different color palette from that, so it really wasn't working. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, coloring is my passion. When I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for this demonstration, I kind of wanted to do something that is my passion. I know a lot of us are doing that 3D things, scrapbooking things. Tamara and her quick and easy, not so simple all the time cards. And so I thought, well, I'll do coloring because I love it and I can show you how to do it. Now, next up is Diane. Hers is recorded, so you don't have to wait for her to go live. It'll pop in at 9:45, I do believe. And she's doing a 3D item, and it's so cute. Shh, don't tell her I sneak peeked that for you. And I'm going to be giving away a package of iridescent pearls. There you go. Oh, good. I'm glad I could help, Doreen. That's great. So you have until Sunday at noon o'clock at the demonstrators time zone. So I'm in the Pacific time, so mine will be drawn last. And then there's all the way over into the Eastern time zone, and they'll be drawing 3 hours ahead. And then there will be one post go up to in the Super Saturday team event of the winners of each. Now, make sure you can't double dip. You can't do a coloring technique and use it on Sue's 3D item or on Tamara's card or any of the other projects. It has to be exclusive to whatever challenge you are entering. And you're very welcome, Debbie, and thanks, Debbie. You're very welcome. All right, so that's it for me. I've gone 2 minutes over time. You've got time for a quick coffee, grab your bevy, and get ready for Diane to show you her cute 3D item. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stampin' Smiles. Bye for now.